Today, I stand here to address specifically the tragic event that has shaken DC, the senseless, fatal shooting of a 21-year-old intern by the name of Eric Tarpinian-Jachym, who was fatally shot in Northwest DC far too soon. He was shot and killed at 10:28 at night. He was hit 4 times. The scene involved 2 rifles, 1 9mm, and 79 rounds on the ground. Eric was a rising senior at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. He was in the nation's capital, as many young people are, pursuing his passion for public service. He was interning for Representative Ron Estes, and he was an innocent bystander who was caught in a violent act that was not meant for him. Right now, 2 individuals have been arrested, and this is a critical step toward justice. But our work is not done as we continue to seek a 3rd suspect in this case. First of all, thank you all for being here. You have behind me a group of people who I think recognize today as the kind of day that reminds us why we do what we do. So, welcome to the United States Attorney's Office. I'm United States Attorney Jeanine Pirro. Every day in America, we lose innocent victims to violent criminals who seek to impose their violence on others. There is no timing. There is no warning. It's like a thunderbolt out of the sky. And suddenly, they are gone from us. And their families and friends and their community are left to suffer and wonder why. This is not only illegal, it is immoral, it is unacceptable, and we're not going to tolerate it. And that's why we're here today. Today, I stand here to address specifically the tragic event that has shaken DC, the senseless, fatal shooting of a 21-year-old intern by the name of Eric Tarpinian-Jachym, who was fatally shot in Northwest DC far too soon on June 30th of 2025. He was shot and killed at 10:28 at night. He was hit 4 times. The scene involved 2 rifles, 1 9mm, and 79 rounds on the ground. Eric was a rising senior at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. He was in the nation's capital, as many young people are, pursuing his passion for public service. He was interning for Representative Ron Estes, and he was an innocent bystander who was caught in a violent act that was not meant for him. He leaves behind his mother, Tamara, his father, Robert, his sister, Angela, and his brother, Jeremy. And his death is a stark reminder of how fragile life is and how violence too often visits us in the nation's capital. And this is why the president has vowed to make D.C. safe and beautiful. This is why the nation's the president is bringing together federal and local agencies to bring the force of the government against those who seek to destroy not only our quality of life, but our lives. And here to announce my thanks today to the Metropolitan Police Department. There are some real stars behind me who too often do not get the credit that they deserve. Right now, 2 individuals have been arrested, And this is a critical step toward justice. But our work is not done as we continue to seek a third suspect in this case. Charges have been filed against two individuals, a 17-year-old juvenile by the name of Jalen Lucas. He's a juvenile, now charged in adult court. Another 17 years old, Kelvin Thomas Jr., another juvenile being charged in adult court, both of them charged with murder while armed under the DC Code 22-2101, which is murder in the first degree. Now, these juveniles have prior violent juvenile records in the family court. This is why, from day one, when I came here, I knew that we were missing a whole segment of criminals in D.C., in our nation's capital, because the D.C. Council thinks that these kids need to be protected. They don't need to be protected. They need to be made accountable, and we need to be protected. I am advocating and have advocated for jurisdiction over juveniles 14, 15, 16, and 17. They need to be brought into the criminal court so that we can prosecute them. Because if we do, we can prevent the murder that happened here based upon the histories of these two and the third individual that I cannot talk about. Eric didn't deserve to be gunned down, and the system failed him. The system that felt that juveniles needed to be coddled. And it's bad enough to be gunned down on any street, but to be gunned down in our nation's capital is an outrage. This killing underscores why we need the authority to prosecute these younger kids, because they're not kids, they're criminals. They're violent criminals. We have to hold them accountable. We have to prevent them from robbing the innocents. Okay.
Judge, you mentioned two rifles, and the Justice Department has ordered you not to prosecute the crime of generating that.
If you use a rifle in a crime, we prosecute you.
Right, but will it make you harder to?
No. You see, the problem with that was not recognizing that you use a rifle or a shotgun in a crime, you are going to be prosecuted. There is no there is no problem going forward with those prosecutions. I'm sorry?
What about taking them off the streets? I guess.
Well, the thrust of your question is really not a part of this case. We've got shotguns, actually rifles, and a 9mm. Okay, and we had a shootout. And by the way, there isn't just this one homicide victim. There are 3 other victims. They did not die, and a 4th victim who suffered shattered glass, I believe, on her face. So there are other victims as well in this case. Yes.
Judge, and this is also for the mayor. Do you expect that the process that you're advocating for, which is to take more of these juvenile cases, is that something that you require Congress's approval, and do you have the city's or the mayor's support for that? Is my first question on this.
Okay, to answer the first, and I'll let the mayor answer the second. Number one, the D.C. Council has coddled young criminals for years. They reject mandatory minimums that the law requires. They don't force judges to follow the law. They have something called the youth rehabilitation and the incarceration reduction, as well as record sealing. Everything we do, the D.C. Council is looking to change to benefit the criminal. To specifically answer your question, we're going to need Congress to change the law. And I believe that if there's any case that calls for it, it is this case that makes it clear that these young punks who are on the street with guns, shooting at each other, killing innocent people, they need to be brought into my system and not in the family court system for rehabilitation, because they've been in that system more than once. And I don't think they've been rehabilitated.